Welcome to another demo from MicroRooster. Today's topic is time series or timeline widget. We're going to use the MicroStrategy tutorial. I'm using MicroStrategy 10.3 for this demo, but you can use any of MicroStrategy 10 and up. You can use 9.4 for the desktop version, but we're also going to cover the desktop and the visual insight. First thing, I need to go and locate a data set or a report. I'm just going to make sure this category sales report is actually running and has data. It needs at least one attribute and as many metrics as you want, because each of those are going to be a separate series in our series widget. Just want to run it to make sure there is actual data. Once I've confirmed that, I can save it or close it. Alright, so now I'm going to go into my objects and create a dashboard from scratch using this widget or using this data set. New document. I'm going to use a dashboard template with a title and go back and find that data set or report. Select it. Okay, here we go. Just to make it visually appealing, let's just add a title first before we add the graph. Call it my time series widget. Next thing I need to do is go ahead and add the actual report without formatting. You could add it with formatting, doesn't matter. Now I only need one attribute, which is a time attribute, to make this time series logical, but you could also keep these if you need it categorized or broken down by category, subcategory, but the time series, usually you want the x-axis to just be the time. In my case, it's going to be the months. So I'm going to remove those off the grid. Alright. And let's see, what else do we need to do? We might need to modify the document properties. Let's make sure first we run this as a widget and in Flash, because we want to control the Flash component of it. Later on, the second half of this demo, we'll use the HTML5 version. But for now, let's just keep it all Flash. And okay. Now I need just to save it. And let's go to the web and run it. Go back to my reports and find it. Execute it. Here's my Flash component, but there's no time series. There's one more step I need to make, either in edit mode or in design mode. Let's go to design mode. I need to tell it which widget to use. From the widget property, go to the time series slider. Okay, it's selected. Okay, and now I can execute it and see what's going on. By default, it's going to use MicroStrategy default text size, colors, fonts, everything. Let me expand this just so we can see the legend a little bit better. Obviously, you can modify this as much as you want. Let's execute again, and here we go. We have the time series. Everything is aligned except the first series is an area by default. That's the MicroStrategy default. These colors are also MicroStrategy default colors. Here we can expand the ranges or move the ranges as we desire at runtime. Okay. Let's check the properties. If you notice, you cannot inherit colors because we have not rendered this as a graph. So we need to go back and modify how it runs without a widget. We need to tell it it's a graph, then it'll pick up the colors. Okay, so here's the graph. Here's the default graph view. And notice there's different colors than what we saw by the default Flash widget. I'm going to change one of these colors for one of these series so we can see how we can control or manipulate the colors Let's use bright yellow so we can track it. Okay, now we're ready to execute. And now we need to change it to inherit the colors so it knows that we really don't want the default colors. And now if you notice, it'll take the default colors and our new revenue is the bright yellow. You could also make changes for the text colors, text fonts, background, etc. You can control everything once you inherit. A few other options you could control depending on your needs. You can do some sampling. You can make them all series, etc. So there's no area by default. And you can set it to save the slider position when you exit, or to make a default location. Depending on your data, some people might need it to be the last 10 or the last year, etc. We can do one more formatting here just so we can give it a facelift, make it a little bit prettier. Just choose a blue font with an Arial black. Alright, so I'm just trying to show you that you have full control once you inherit graph, even the background colors, etc. You got full control. You can remove axes, add axes, change axis, etc. Alright, so I'm going to save this and I'm going to create a new dashboard using the Visual Insight. I'll show you how this is done with HTML5, which is a little bit easier. Gives you less control, but a lot more simpler for users that want the default design. Again, we're adding the data set and adding this data set into the grid. Just going to add them in the same order at the month level. Now I need to change the visualization. There's two ways you can go from this drop down arrow change, or you can scroll down. I have a custom widget with the Google timeline, which is similar to the time series. I have another video that will show you how to get these widgets into your web. But for now, let's say it's there, and then you have the full control by default. It has some ability to view the information on the top row over there for every data point that you hover over. And you can control how the title bar looks like. If you want the title bar to stay there, you can give it some colors, some font changes, etc. to make it more user friendly. So let's do a few here. Random color choices. Some of them will not show. These are the borders. You could remove it all together. The cool thing is, as you make these changes, they happen in real time right in front of you. Let's rename this. Okay, and now we can do one more thing. Let's see, what can we do? We can make some changes here, but what I like to do is add a filter so that we can play with the level. Alright, so let's drag the category. The same thing, you can now select the widget target. If you have multiple widgets, you can have multiple targets. And you can modify the formatting or the feel and look or how this operates. So we can do something like the button bar or checks, or yeah, let's do the button bar. We could also do some color modifications. Again, let's use different text, color, etc. So it becomes more cohesive and let's see, more coherent. Okay, now we got the colors that we want, and we want to keep it as an include. We do not want it to allow multiple, but we might. And now our dashboard is ready for our operation. Okay, thank you very much, and hopefully you enjoyed this quick demo.